Sarah Martinez looked at the clock on her kitchen wall. It was already 6:30 in the morning. She had to wake up Emma and get her ready for school. Then she had to rush to her first job at the diner. After that, she would work at the cleaning company until late at night. This was her life every single day. 3 years ago, everything was different. Sarah had a loving husband named Mike. They lived in a nice house with their 5-year-old daughter, Emma. Mike worked as a mechanic and made good money. Sarah stayed home to take care of Emma. They were happy. They had plans for the future. They wanted to buy a bigger house and maybe have another baby, but everything changed on a rainy Tuesday night in October. Mike was driving home from work. When a drunk driver hit his car, he died instantly. Sarah's world fell apart that night. She lost her husband, her best friend, and Emma lost her daddy. The insurance money helped for a while, but it was not enough. Sarah had to find work quickly. She had not worked in years because she was taking care of Emma. Finding a good job was hard. She had no recent work experience. She had no college degree. The only job she could find paid very little money. Sarah found work at a small diner called Mel's Place. She worked there from 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. The owner, Mel, was kind to her. He understood her situation. He let her bring Emma to the diner after school sometimes. Emma would sit in a corner booth and do her homework while Sarah worked, but the money from the diner was not enough to pay all the bills. Sarah had to find a second job. She started working for a cleaning company in the evenings. She cleaned offices and stores after they closed. This job paid cash, which helped a lot, but it meant she worked until 10 or 11 at night. Emma had to stay with Mrs. Rodriguez, their elderly neighbor. When Sarah worked her second job, Mrs. Rodriguez was nice, but she was old and tired. She could not help Emma with her homework. She could not play with her or read her stories. Emma would just watch TV until Sarah came home. Sarah felt terrible about this. She knew Emma needed more attention. She knew her daughter was lonely and sad, but what could she do? She had to work to pay for food, rent, and all the other things they needed. Things got worse when Emma started having problems at school. Her teacher, Mrs. Wilson, called Sarah one day. Emma was not doing her homework. She was falling asleep in class. She was getting into fights with other children. Mrs. Wilson was worried about Emma. Sarah tried to talk to Emma about school, but Emma would not talk much. She just said she was tired. She said the other kids were mean to her. She said she missed her daddy. Sarah's heart broke every time Emma said this. Sarah tried to help Emma with her homework in the evenings, but by the time she got home from her second job, Emma was already asleep. On weekends, Sarah was too tired to do much. She had to do laundry, buy groceries, and clean the house. There was never enough time for everything. Money was always a problem. Sarah counted every penny. She bought the cheapest food at the store. She bought Emma's clothes at thrift shops. She turned off lights to save on electricity. She kept the heat low in winter to save money. Still, there was never enough. 1 month, Sarah could not pay the full rent. She had to ask the landlord for more time. He was not happy about it. He said if she was late again, they would have to move out. Sarah was scared. Where would they go if they lost their apartment? Emma's behavior got worse. She started wetting the bed again, something she had not done since she was 4 years old. She had nightmares about her father. She would wake up crying in the middle of the night. Sarah would hold her and try to comfort her, but she did not know what to say. At school, Emma's grades got worse and worse. She failed a math test. She did not turn in a book report. She got in trouble for pushing another girl, Mrs. Wilson called Sarah again. She said Emma might need to see a counselor. But Sarah could not afford a counselor. Sarah felt like she was failing as a mother. She loved Emma more than anything in the world, but she could not give her daughter what she needed. She could not be there when Emma needed help with homework. She could not afford nice clothes or toys. She could not take Emma to fun places like the zoo or movies. At night, after Emma was asleep, Sarah would sit at the kitchen table and cry. She felt so alone. She had no family nearby to help her. Her parents lived far away and were too old to help much. Mike's parents blamed her for the accident somehow. They stopped talking to her after the funeral. Sarah's friends from before Mike died had slowly disappeared. They had their own families and problems. They did not understand what Sarah was going through. When they did call, Sarah was always working or too tired to talk. The worst part was seeing Emma's sadness. Emma used to be a happy, playful little girl. She used to laugh and sing songs. She used to run around the house and play with her toys. Now she was quiet and serious. She rarely smiled. She seemed to carry the weight of the world on her small shoulders. Sarah knew that Emma needed stability. She needed help with school. She needed someone to play with her and read to her. She needed a father figure in her life. But Sarah did not know how to give Emma these things. She was doing everything she could, but it was not enough. One evening, Sarah was so tired she fell asleep on the couch while helping Emma with her homework. Emma had to wake her up and put herself to bed. Sarah felt horrible about this. She promised herself she would do better, but she did not know how. Sarah started having headaches from stress and lack of sleep. She lost weight because she often forgot to eat. She was always tired. Her hair started falling out. She looked older than her 32 years, but she kept going because she had to. Emma needed her. Every morning, Sarah looked in the mirror and tried to put on a brave face for Emma. She would smile and say good morning in a cheerful voice. But inside, she was breaking apart. She wondered how long she could keep this up. She wondered if Emma would be better off with someone else who could take better care of her. But Sarah could never give up Emma. Emma's all she had left of her old life. Emma was her reason for getting up every morning. No matter how hard things got, Sarah would never stop fighting for her daughter. She just wished she knew how to make things better. Sarah was at the grocery store on a Saturday morning. She was looking at the prices of cereal, trying to find the cheapest one. Emma was standing next to her, holding a box of the colorful cereal she liked. But Sarah knew they could not afford it. She gently took the box from Emma and put it back on the shelf. "Mommy, why can't we get the good cereal?" Emma asked quietly. Sarah felt her heart break a little more. "We need to save money, sweetheart. This other cereal tastes just as good." Emma nodded, but Sarah could see the disappointment in her daughter's eyes. Emma had learned not to ask for things they could not afford. At 8 years old, she already understood that money was always a problem. "Sarah, is that you?" Sarah turned around and saw a tall man with kind eyes and black hair. It took her a moment to recognize him. It was David Chun. He had been Mike's friend from high school. They used to hang out together sometimes before Mike died. "David, hi," Sarah said, trying to sound cheerful. She was embarrassed about how she looked. Her clothes were old and worn. She had not had time to do her hair properly. She looked tired and stressed. David smiled warmly. "It's so good to see you. And look how big Emma has gotten." He knelt down to Emma's level. "Hi there, Emma. Do you remember me? I used to come to your house with your dad sometimes." Emma looked up at him shyly. She nodded but did not say anything. She had become very quiet around people she did not know well. David stood up and looked at Sarah with concern. "How are you doing? Really, how are you?" Sarah wanted to say she was fine. She always told people she was fine. But something about the way David asked made her feel like he really wanted to know. Still, she could not tell him the truth. "Not here in the grocery store. We're doing okay," she said. "Just busy, you know." David looked at her shopping cart. There was not much in it, just the cheapest food items. He noticed Emma looking longingly at the colorful cereal box on the shelf. "Listen," David said. "I was just thinking about Mike the other day. I miss him a lot. Would you and Emma like to come to dinner at my house sometime? I'd love to catch up and hear how you're both doing." Sarah hesitated. She did not want people to feel sorry for her. She did not want charity. But Emma looked up at her with hopeful eyes. Emma rarely got invited anywhere fun. "That's very nice of you, David, but we don't want to bother you," Sarah said. "It wouldn't be a bother at all. Please, I'd really like to see you both. How about tomorrow? I'd make a pretty good spaghetti dinner." Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. "Can we go, Mommy, please?" Sarah looked at her daughter's excited face. She could not remember the last time Emma had looked excited about anything. "Okay," she said. "That would be nice." David smiled. "Great. Here, let me give you my address." He wrote it down on a piece of paper. "How about 5 o'clock?" After David left, Emma was more talkative than she had been in weeks. She asked Sarah questions about David. She wanted to know if his house was big. She asked if he had toys or games. Sarah was happy to see Emma interested in something. The next day, Sarah was nervous about going to David's house. She did not have nice clothes to wear. She worried that Emma would act up or be too quiet. She almost called to cancel, but Emma was so excited that Sarah could not disappoint her. David's house was beautiful. It was much bigger than their small apartment. David was an architect, and Sarah remembered that he had a good job. The house was clean and modern, but it felt warm and welcoming. David greeted them at the door with a big smile. He had cooked a wonderful dinner. There was spaghetti with meat sauce, garlic bread, and a salad. For dessert, he had bought ice cream. Emma's eyes got big when she saw all the food. During dinner, David talked to Emma like she was important. He asked her about school and her favorite subjects. He asked about her friends and what she liked to do for fun. Emma was shy at first, but slowly she started to open up. David told funny stories about when he and Mike were in high school. He made Emma laugh with his silly voices and faces. Sarah had not heard Emma laugh like that in months. It made Sarah happy and sad at the same time. After dinner, David showed Emma his computer and some of the buildings he had designed. Emma was fascinated. She asked lots of questions about how he drew the buildings and how they got built. David patiently answered all her questions. While Emma was looking at the computer, David and Sarah talked quietly in the kitchen. "She's a great kid," David said. "Mike would be so proud of her." "Thank you," Sarah said. "She's been having a hard time lately, we both have." David looked at her with understanding eyes. "I can imagine. It must be really tough doing everything on your own." Sarah felt tears starting to form. She quickly wiped them away. "We manage," she said. "Sarah, I hope you don't mind me asking, but is there anything I can do to help? I know Mike would have wanted someone to look out for you and Emma." Sarah was touched by his offer, but she was also proud. She did not want to take charity. "That's very kind, but we're doing fine." David nodded, but Sarah could see he did not believe her. He was too polite to push the subject. When it was time to leave, Emma did not want to go. She asked if they could come back again soon. David looked at Sarah hopefully. "We'd love to have you back anytime," he said. "Maybe next week?" On the way home, Emma talked nonstop about David and his house. She said he was nice and funny. She asked if they could visit him again soon. Sarah had not seen Emma this happy in a long time. The next week, David called and invited them to dinner again. This time, he picked them up because Sarah's car was having problems. At dinner, he noticed that Emma was struggling with her math homework. He offered to help her. David was patient and kind with Emma. He explained the math problems in a way that made sense to her. He did not get frustrated when she made mistakes. He encouraged her and praised her when she got the right answers. Emma beamed with pride. From that day on, David started coming by their apartment twice a week to help Emma with her homework. Sarah tried to pay him, but he refused to take any money. He said he enjoyed helping Emma and that it was what Mike would have wanted. Sarah noticed changes in Emma almost immediately. Emma started doing better in school. She was less angry and sad. She looked forward to David's visits. She would sit by the window and watch for his car. David also started taking Emma to fun places on weekends. He took her to the zoo, the park, and the library. He bought her books and small toys. He never made Sarah feel bad about not being able to afford these things herself. Sometimes David would bring dinner for all of them. He would cook at Sarah's apartment or bring takeout food. These were the only times Sarah did not have to worry about cooking after working all day. David never made Sarah feel like she owed him anything. He never acted like he was better than them because he had more money. He treated them both with respect and kindness. He seemed to genuinely enjoy spending time with them. Sarah began to look forward to David's visits too. He was easy to talk. Tio, he listened to her problems without judging her. He made her feel like she was not alone in the world. For the first time since Mike died, Sarah felt like she had a friend. Emma started calling David Uncle David. She would run to him when he arrived and hug him tight. She would tell him about her day at school and show him her drawings and homework. David always acted like everything Emma did was wonderful and important. Sarah watched this relationship grow with mixed feelings. She was grateful that Emma had a positive male role model in her life. She could see how much happier Emma was becoming. But she also worried, what if David got tired of helping them? What if he moved away or got too busy? Emma was already very attached to him. Sarah did not want her daughter to lose another important person in her life. But for now, Sarah was just thankful. For the first time in 3 years, she felt like maybe things might get better. David had brought light back into their dark world. Emma was laughing again, doing better in school, and seemed hopeful about the future. Sarah did not know where this friendship with David would lead, but she was grateful for every moment of happiness he brought to her daughter's life. 6 months after David started helping them, Sarah's life took another scary turn. She had been having bad stomach pains for weeks, but she ignored them. She could not afford to miss work or go to the doctor. She took cheap pain pills and hoped the pain would go away, but one morning the pain was so bad that Sarah could not get out of bed. Emma found her mother curled up and crying. Emma was scared. She had never seen her mother like this before. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Emma asked, her voice shaking. Sarah tried to sit up, but the pain was too much. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just give me a minute." But Sarah was not okay. The pain got worse and worse. Finally, she had to call Mrs. Rodriguez to take her to the hospital. Emma went with them, holding her mother's hand in the back seat of Mrs. Rodriguez's old car. At the hospital, the doctors said Sarah needed surgery right away. She had appendicitis and her appendix might burst if they did not operate immediately. Sarah was scared, but she was more worried about Emma, who would take care of her daughter. The hospital staff said Emma could not stay there during the surgery. Sarah called Mrs. Rodriguez, but the old woman said she was too sick to take care of Emma for several days. Sarah did not know what to do. She had no family nearby. She had no close friends who could help. Then Sarah thought of David. She hesitated to call him. She did not want to bother him with her problems. But she had no choice. Emma needed someone to take care of her. David answered his phone on the second ring. When Sarah explained what was happening, he did not hesitate for even a second. "Don't worry about anything," he said. "I'm on my way to get Emma right now. You just focus on getting better." David arrived at the hospital within 20 minutes. He had stopped at home to pack a bag with some of his things. He was planning to stay at Sarah's apartment to take care of Emma. Emma ran to David when she saw him. She was crying and scared about her mother. David picked her up and held her tight. "It's going to be okay," he told Emma. "Your mom is going to be fine. The doctors are going to fix her up, and she'll be home soon. I'm going to take care of you until she gets better." Sarah watched this from her hospital bed. Even through her pain, she felt grateful. David was treating Emma like she was his own daughter. He was being so gentle and caring with her. "Thank you," Sarah whispered to David. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You don't need to thank me," David said. "This is what friends do. This is what Mike would have done for me if I needed help." The surgery went well, but the doctors said Sarah would need to stay in the hospital for 3 days. Then she would need to rest at home for at least 2 more weeks. She could not lift anything heavy or do hard work. This meant she could not work at either of her jobs for almost 3 weeks. Sarah was worried about money. She would not get paid. If she did not work, how would she pay rent and buy food? But David told her not to worry about money right now. He said the most important thing was for her to get well. David took Emma home to Sarah's apartment that first night. He had never spent the night there before. He slept on the couch and let Emma sleep in her own bed. In the morning, he made Emma breakfast and got her ready for school. Emma was sad and worried about her mother, but David did his best to keep her spirits up. He made funny faces while making pancakes. He told her jokes while brushing her hair. He promised her they would visit her mother in the hospital after school. At the hospital, Emma climbed into bed next to her mother very carefully. She was afraid she might hurt Sarah. Sarah held Emma close and told her how much she loved her. "Is Mommy going to die like Daddy did?" Emma asked quietly. Sarah's heart broke. "No, sweetheart. Mommy is going to be fine. The doctors fixed me up good as new. I just need to rest for a little while." David visited every day too. He brought Sarah flowers and magazines. He told her funny stories about what Emma had done that day. He made sure Sarah knew that Emma was happy and well taken care of. When Sarah came home from the hospital, she was weak and tired. She could not do much for herself, let alone take care of Emma. David had already thought of this. He had taken time off from his job to help them. For the next 2 weeks, David practically lived at their apartment. He cooked all the meals. He did the laundry and cleaned the house. He helped Emma with her homework every night. He read her bedtime stories and tucked her into bed during the day. While Emma was at school, David took care of Sarah. He brought her food and made sure she took her medicine. He helped her walk around the apartment when the doctor said she needed to move a little bit each day. Sarah felt bad about all the trouble she was causing she tried to do things for herself, but David would not let her. "The doctor said you need to rest," he would say. "I can handle everything else." Sarah watched David with Emma during those 2 weeks. She saw how naturally he took care of her daughter. He knew Emma's favorite foods and how she liked her hair brushed. He knew which stories Emma liked to hear at bedtime. He knew how to make Emma laugh when she was sad. Emma had never been happier or more secure. She was not worried about her mother anymore because David was there to take care of everything. She did her homework without being asked. She helped set the table for dinner. She even started sleeping through the night without nightmares. Sarah realized that Emma had started to see David as a father figure. Emma would run to David when she got home from school. She would ask David for help instead of asking Sarah. She would sit next to David on the couch while watching TV. One evening, Emma was taking a bath and Sarah and David were talking quietly in the living room. "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done," Sarah said. "You've been amazing with Emma, and with me too." David looked a little embarrassed. "You don't need to thank me. I care about both of you. Emma is like—" He stopped talking and looked away. "Like what?" Sarah asked. "Like my own daughter," David said quietly. "I know that probably sounds strange, but that's how I feel about her. I love that little girl like she was my own child." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. She could see that David meant every word. He really did love Emma, and Emma loved him too. That night, after Emma was asleep, Sarah lay in bed thinking about everything that had happened. David had dropped everything in his life to take care of them. He had not complained once. He had not acted like it was a big sacrifice. He seemed to genuinely enjoy being part of their family. Sarah started to think about Emma's future. Emma needed stability. She needed someone who would always be there for her. Someone who would help her with school and teach her important things. Someone who would love her unconditionally. Sarah loved Emma more than anything, but she was struggling to give Emma everything she needed. She was always tired from working 2 jobs. She could not help Emma with hard homework. She could not afford to buy Emma nice things or take her fun places, but David could do all of these things. More importantly, David wanted to do these things. He was not helping them because he felt sorry for them. He was helping because he loved Emma and wanted what was best for her. Sarah made a decision that would change all their lives. It was not an easy decision, but she knew it was the right one. Emma needed David in her life permanently. Emma needed the security of knowing that David would always be there for her. The next morning, after Emma left for school, Sarah sat down with David at the kitchen table. "David, I need to ask you something important," she said, "and I want you to think carefully before you answer." David looked at her seriously. "Okay, what is it?" Sarah took a deep breath. "I've been watching you with Emma these past few weeks. I can see how much you love her, and I can see how much she loves you." David nodded. "I do love her, very much." Emma needs stability in her life, Sarah continued. She needs someone who will always be there for her. Someone who can give her things I can't afford. Someone who can help her in ways I can't. David looked confused. Sarah, what are you asking me? Sarah looked into David's eyes. I'm asking if you would consider adopting Emma, legally adopting her as your daughter. David's eyes got wide. He stared at Sarah for a long moment without saying anything. I know it's a huge thing to ask, Sarah said quickly, and I know it would change your whole life. But Emma loves you so much and you're so good with her. I think she would be better off with you as her father. David was quiet for a long time. Sarah started to worry that she had made a mistake asking him. Finally, David spoke. Are you sure about this? Really sure? Because if I adopt Emma, I will love her and protect her for the rest of my life. She will be my daughter in every way that matters. That's exactly what I want, Sarah said. That's exactly what Emma needs. David smiled. Then yes. Yes, I would be honored to adopt Emma. I would be honored to be her father. The adoption process was more complicated than Sarah and David had expected. They had to meet with lawyers and social workers. They had to fill out many forms and answer lots of questions. The social workers wanted to make sure that the adoption was really best for Emma. During this time, David spent even more time with Sarah and Emma. He wanted to show the social workers that he was serious about being Emma's father. He also wanted to make sure Emma was comfortable with the idea of being adopted. When Sarah first told Emma about the adoption, Emma was confused. She did not understand what adoption meant. Sarah explained it in simple words. You know how much Uncle David loves you, right? Sarah said. Emma nodded. He loves me a lot. Well, Uncle David wants to become your daddy. Not your real daddy, because your real daddy was Mike and he's in heaven. But Uncle David wants to be your daddy here on earth. He wants to take care of you and love you forever. Emma thought about this for a moment. Would he still be Uncle David? No, sweetheart. He would be your daddy. You could call him Daddy David if you want. Emma's face lit up. Really? Uncle David would be my daddy? Yes, if that's what you want. Emma jumped up and down with excitement. Yes, I want Uncle David to be my daddy. That evening, Emma ran to David as soon as he arrived. Uncle David, Mommy said you want to be my daddy. David knelt down and hugged Emma tight. I would love to be your daddy, Emma. Would you like that? Yes, Emma said. I want you to be my daddy forever and ever. David had tears in his eyes. Then that's what I'll be. Your daddy forever and ever. The social worker, Mrs. Thompson, visited their home several times. She watched David with Emma. She saw how patient and loving he was. She saw how happy Emma was when David was around. She talked to Emma alone to make sure Emma really wanted to be adopted. Mrs. Thompson also talked to Sarah alone. She wanted to make sure Sarah was not giving up her daughter because she could not take care of her. This is a very unusual situation, Mrs. Thompson said. Most mothers don't ask someone to adopt their children unless they absolutely cannot care for them anymore. Sarah explained her reasons. I love Emma more than anything in the world, but I can see how much David loves her too. And I can see how much happier and more secure Emma is when David is around. I want what's best for my daughter, even if it's hard for me. You understand that if David adopts Emma, he will have legal rights as her father? Mrs. Thompson asked. He could make decisions about her education, her medical care, where she lives. Sarah nodded. I trust David completely. I know he will always do what's best for Emma. Mrs. Thompson was impressed by Sarah's selflessness. She had never seen a mother willing to share her child's legal custody unless there was no other choice. The process took several months. During this time, David, Sarah, and Emma spent almost every day together. David would come to their apartment in the morning and help get Emma ready for school. After work, he would pick Emma up and help her with homework. He would stay for dinner and often help Emma get ready for bed. To the outside world, they looked like a family. Emma's teachers at school started to think David was Emma's stepfather. Other parents at school events assumed David and Sarah were married. Neither Sarah nor David corrected these assumptions. Sarah started to notice things about David that she had not paid attention to before. She noticed how gentle his hands were when he helped Emma brush her teeth. She noticed how his eyes crinkled when he laughed at Emma's silly jokes. She noticed how he always remembered the little things that made Emma happy. She also noticed how David treated her. He was always respectful and kind. He never made her feel bad about needing help. He often brought her favorite coffee in the morning or picked up things she needed from the store. He would ask about her day and really listen to her answers. One evening, while Emma was playing in her room, David and Sarah were washing dishes together. It was something they had done many times, but tonight it felt different. Sarah was very aware of David standing close to her. She noticed the smell of his cologne and the way his shirt sleeves were rolled up when David handed her a plate to dry. Their hands touched for a moment. Sarah felt a little spark of electricity. She looked up at David and saw that he was looking at her in a way he had never looked at her before. "Sarah," David said softly. "Yes?" Sarah's heart was beating faster. David seemed like he wanted to say something important. But then Emma ran into the kitchen asking for help with her puzzle. The moment was broken. Sarah started to pay more attention to her feelings about David. She realized that she looked forward to seeing him every day. She realized that she felt safer and happier when he was around. She realized that she had started to think of the three of them as a real family, but Sarah also felt confused and guilty about these feelings. David was adopting her daughter. He was doing this kind thing for Emma, and here Sarah was developing romantic feelings for him. She worried that her feelings might complicate everything. David was having similar feelings. But he was even more confused than Sarah. He had originally started helping Sarah and Emma because Mike had been his friend. But somewhere along the way, his feelings had changed. He had fallen in love with Emma first. She was such a sweet, smart, funny little girl. He loved her energy and her curiosity. He loved the way she trusted him completely. He loved being the person she ran to when she was happy or sad. But David had also fallen in love with Sarah. He admired her strength and her love for Emma. He admired how hard she worked to provide for her daughter. He loved her gentle nature and her kind heart. He loved the way she looked when she was laughing at something Emma had said. David tried to ignore these feelings. He told himself that he was just helping a friend. He told himself that Sarah probably did not see him as anything more than Emma's future adoptive father. He worried that if he told Sarah how he felt, it might ruin everything. The court date for the adoption was set for 3 months away. As the date got closer, David spent even more time with Sarah and Emma. He wanted to make sure the transition would be smooth for Emma. One Saturday, David took Emma to the park while Sarah stayed home to rest. When they came back, Emma ran into the apartment excited about something. "Mommy, Daddy David and I saw a butterfly, and he knew what kind it was," Emma said. She had started calling David Daddy David a few weeks earlier. Sarah noticed that Emma had called David Daddy David without any hesitation. Emma was clearly comfortable with the idea of David being her father. That evening, after Emma was in bed, Sarah and David sat on the couch talking about the adoption. The court date was only 1 month away. "Are you nervous about the court date?" Sarah asked. "A little," David admitted. "Not because I don't want to adopt Emma. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. But because it's such a big responsibility. I want to be the best father I can be for her." "You already are," Sarah said. "Emma loves you so much. You're already more of a father to her than most kids ever have." David looked at Sarah seriously. "I promise you, Sarah, I will love Emma and protect her for the rest of my life. She will never want for anything if I can help it. I will make sure she gets a good education and has every opportunity to succeed in life." "I know you will," Sarah said. "That's why I asked you to adopt her." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then David said something that surprised Sarah. "What about us, Sarah? What do you mean?" Sarah asked, though she thought she knew what he meant. "I mean, after the adoption? What happens to us, to you and me?" Sarah's heart started beating faster. I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out as we go." David nodded, but Sarah could see that her answer had disappointed him. She wanted to say more, but she was scared. She was scared of ruining the good thing they had. She was scared that David might not feel the same way about her that she felt about him. The month before the court date passed quickly. David started staying at their apartment most nights, sleeping on the couch. He said it was to help Emma get used to having him around all the time. But Sarah wondered if there was another reason. Emma was thriving. Her grades at school were the best they had ever been. She was happy and confident. She talked excitedly about the adoption to anyone who would listen. She was proud that she was going to have David as her father. Sarah was happy for Emma, but she was also starting to feel a little left out. David and Emma had such a strong bond. Sometimes Sarah felt like she was watching her daughter slip away from her and toward David. One night, Emma had a bad dream and called out for her daddy. But instead of calling for Sarah, she called for David. David went to Emma's room and comforted her until she fell back asleep. Sarah lay in her bed listening to David's gentle voice calming Emma down. She felt jealous and guilty at the same time. She was jealous that Emma had turned to David instead of her. But she also felt guilty for feeling jealous when this was exactly what she had wanted. The next morning, Sarah was quiet at breakfast. David noticed that something was wrong. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," Sarah said, but she did not sound fine. After Emma left for school, David sat down next to Sarah at the kitchen table. "You're not fine," he said. "What's bothering you?" Sarah looked at David's kind, concerned face. She decided to be honest with him. The adoption court date finally arrived. Sarah, David, and Emma all dressed in their best clothes. Emma wore a pretty blue dress that David had bought for her. She was excited and nervous at the same time. The courtroom was small and not scary, like Emma had imagined. The judge was a nice woman with gray hair and a kind smile. She asked Emma some simple questions about whether she wanted David to be her father. Emma answered clearly and confidently. "Yes, Your Honor, I want Daddy David to be my real daddy," the judge smiled. "And Mr. Chun, are you ready to take on all the responsibilities of being Emma's father?" David looked at Emma and then at Sarah. "Yes, Your Honor, I love Emma with all my heart. I promise to take care of her and love her for the rest of my life." "Then by the power vested in me by the state, I hereby grant this adoption. Emma Martinez, you are now legally Emma Chun, and David Chun is your legal father." Emma jumped up and hugged David tight. "Daddy, you're really my daddy now." David had tears in his eyes. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm your daddy forever now." Sarah watched this moment with mixed emotions. She was happy for Emma and David, but she also felt like something was ending. Emma was no longer just hers. Emma now belonged to David too. After the court ceremony, they went out to celebrate at Emma's favorite restaurant. Emma was so excited she could barely sit still. She kept saying, "My daddy," when she talked about David. She made David promise to tell everyone at school that he was her real father now. That evening, after Emma was asleep in her bed, Sarah and David sat in the living room. The apartment felt different now. David was no longer just a friend helping out. He was Emma's legal father. He had rights and responsibilities that would last forever. "Thank you," David said quietly. "You gave me the greatest gift anyone has ever given me." "You made me a father," Sarah smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Emma is lucky to have you as her father." They sat in silence for a while. Sarah was thinking about how much their lives had changed over the past year. A year ago, she had been struggling alone with Emma. Now Emma had a father who loved her. But Sarah felt more alone than ever. What happens now? Sarah asked. David looked at her with a serious expression. "I've been thinking about that a lot. I want to make sure Emma has the best life possible. I want to make sure she has everything she needs." Sarah nodded. "I know you'll take good care of her." "Sarah, I've been thinking maybe it would be better if Emma came to live with me full time. My house is bigger. I can afford to give her her own room, nice clothes, whatever she needs for school." Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. She had not expected this. "You want to take Emma away from me?" David quickly shook his head. "No, not take her away. I just think maybe it would be better for Emma if she lived in a more stable environment. She could still see you all the time. You would still be her mother. Sarah felt tears starting to form in her eyes. But she's all I have, David. She's my whole world. David looked uncomfortable, I know. And I'm not saying we have to decide. Right now, I'm just thinking about what would be best for Emma in the long run. Sarah went to bed that night feeling more alone than she had felt since Mike died. She had given David the legal right to make decisions for Emma. Now he was talking about taking Emma to live with him. Sarah realized she might have made a terrible mistake. Over the next few weeks, David continued to spend most of his time at Sarah's apartment, but now things felt different. Sarah felt like a guest in her own life. David made decisions about Emma's bedtime, her meals, her activities. He had the legal right to do these things now. Emma was happier than ever. She loved having David as her official father. She bragged to her friends at school about her daddy. She did not notice that her mother was becoming more and more quiet and sad. Sarah tried to hide her feelings, but it was hard. She felt like she was slowly disappearing from Emma's life. Emma went to David for everything now. When Emma got hurt, she wanted David to put a bandage on her cut. When Emma needed help with homework, she asked David. When Emma had a bad day at school, she told David about it. One evening, David was helping Emma with a school project while Sarah cleaned up after dinner. She watched them working together, laughing and having fun. They looked like a real father and daughter. Sarah felt like an outsider looking in. That night, after Emma was asleep, Sarah made a decision. She could not continue living like this. She loved Emma too much to watch herself become unnecessary in her daughter's life. David, she said, maybe you're right. Maybe Emma would be better off living with you full time. David looked surprised. Are you sure about that? You can give her everything I can't? A nice house, good schools, whatever she needs? And she loves you so much. Maybe it would be better for everyone. David was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that shocked. Sarah, what about us, Sarah? What about you and me? Sarah looked at him confused. What do you mean? David stood up and started pacing around the room. He looked nervous and worried. Sarah, I need to tell you something. And I've been scared to say it because I don't want to ruin anything. What? Is it, David? David stopped pacing and looked directly at Sarah. I love Emma. I love her more than I ever thought I could love a child. She's my daughter in every way that matters, and I will love her and protect her forever. Sarah nodded. I know you do. But Sarah, I also love you. Sarah's heart stopped beating for a moment. What? David sat down next to Sarah on the couch. I love you, Sarah. I've been in love with you for months now. I love your strength and your kindness. I love how much you love Emma. I love the way you laugh and the way you care about everyone around you. Sarah stared at David in shock. She had hoped he might have feelings for her, but she had never been sure. I know this is complicated, David continued. I know I'm Emma's father now, and that changes everything. But I had to tell you how I feel. I can't keep pretending that I'm just here for Emma. Sarah felt tears in her eyes, but they were happy. Tears this time. David, I love you too. I've been in love with you for a long time, but I was scared to say anything. David's face lit up with joy. Really? Really? But I was afraid that if I told you, it might ruin everything. I didn't want to mess up Emma's chance to have you as her father. David took Sarah's hands in his. Sarah, don't you see? This doesn't ruin anything. This makes everything perfect. Sarah looked confused. What do you mean? I mean, we could be a real family, all three of us. Emma could have both of us as her parents. She could have a mother and a father who love her and who love each other. Sarah's heart started beating faster. Are you saying what I think you're saying? David smiled. I'm saying I want to marry you, Sarah. I want us to be Emma's parents together. I want us to be a real family. Before Sarah could answer, they heard a small voice from the hallway. Mommy? Daddy? What are you talking about? They turned and saw Emma standing in the doorway in her pajamas. She had obviously been listening to their conversation. Emma, honey, you should be in bed, Sarah said. but Emma walked over to them with a big smile on her face. Are you going to get married? Are you going to be husband and wife? Sarah and David looked at each other. They had not expected Emma to hear their conversation. Would you like that, sweetheart? David asked Emma. Would you like it if you're mommy? And I got married? Emma jumped up and down with excitement. Yes, yes. Then we would be a real family. You would be my daddy and mommy would be your wife and we would all live together forever? David looked at Sarah. What do you say, Sarah? Will you marry me? Sarah looked at David's hopeful face and then at Emma's excited face. These were the two people she loved most in the world. The idea of being a real family with them made her happier than she had been in years. Yes, she said, yes, I will marry you. Emma cheered and ran to hug both of them. We're going to be a real family. I can't wait to tell everyone at school. David kissed Sarah gently. I love you, he whispered. I love you too, Sarah whispered back. 6 months later, Sarah and David got married in a small ceremony in David's backyard. Emma was their flower girl, wearing a beautiful pink dress. She walked down the aisle ahead of Sarah, throwing flower petals and smiling at everyone. During the ceremony, the minister talked about how families come together in different ways. He said that sometimes love creates families that are even stronger than families created by blood. When David and Sarah exchanged rings, Emma stood between them. She was part of the ceremony too. Because she was becoming part of a new family, after the wedding, they moved into David's house. Emma got her own big bedroom, just like David had promised. But more importantly, she got something she had wanted. Since her father died, she got a complete family again. Sarah quit her night job because David made enough money to support all three of them. This meant she could be home with Emma in the evenings. She could help with homework and read bedtime stories. She could be the mother she had always wanted to be. David adopted Sarah legally as well, so that all three of them had the same last name. Emma Chen was now part of a family where both parents loved her completely and loved each other completely. On their first Christmas as a married family, Emma made them a drawing. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house. She had written "My Family" at the top in crayon. This is you, Mommy, she said, pointing to one figure.